sharing your song and voice with us tonight. I appreciate that. I want to welcome everybody here tonight as we remember our friend, family member, and colleague, Philip Friesen. We're here tonight to honor his memory and celebrate his life, to remember the impact that Phil has had on hundreds of people. As you can tell in his slideshow, he's always been very into sports and team activities, and that was clearly shown throughout his life. He was always a team player. He showed up when needed, and he was always one of the first people to offer help. In his time at Together We Can, Phil was an integral part of our Changes program. Through that program, he has helped hundreds of people who are trying to get a new life of recovery. He was one of the first people that they would meet, and honestly probably had one of the biggest impacts out of any staff member that we had. In my time knowing Phil, I was always met with a smile. He was calm, stoic. He dealt with some very interesting characters, and it's just he had this place in his heart for other people. He just wanted to see people succeed, and his loss has been felt by a ton of us. Just in this room tonight is a small fraction of the people that Phil's life touched. We have a lot of people who joined us online as well, so they can share their memory and celebrate his life with us tonight here too. Over the course of tonight, we're going to have several speakers come up here and share some personal stories, some of his closest friends and family members, and then we have, again, some very close friends who will be doing some musical tributes as well. Throughout the evening, we just ask that you remember and celebrate all the good that Phil was, everything that he did to help other people, and to honor his memory by carrying on that tradition in our life as well. I'd like to invite Stacey Wilson up to begin the evening for us and do our opening remarks.
Everybody hear me in the back okay? Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Stacey Wilson. I'm Executive Director of Together We Can. On this very sad day, I'm truly honored to say a few words in celebration of Phil Friesen's life. The overwhelming love and support that has been shown to Andrea, Andrew, and family has certainly helped them get through this difficult time. I wanted to thank the iconic Heritage Hall for providing such a lovely venue to celebrate Phil's life. A special acknowledgement to Stephen, Sanaya, Tim, and David for all their time and effort organizing this heartfelt celebration. A special thank you to all the friends and supporters that, when faced with this tragedy, rose up and rallied around Andrea in her time of need. It is an especially sad day because grief in the loss of a child is the hardest to bear. When an older person passes away, we grieve, but we can accept more readily that a life is lived and is drawn to its inevitable close. But when a child dies, we mourn not only the life that was, but also the life that might have been. No one ever thinks that they're saying a final goodbye to a child. They seem too full of life and all the promise of things to come. Their futures stretch out before them like a book waiting to be read. You don't expect to find yourself in a place like this on a day like today. To mark the end of life was just getting started. But here we all are, saying farewell to Phil Friesen long before his time. It is right and natural that we should grieve, because sorrow is a reflection and a measure of the love and happiness that we shared with Phil. In a way, too, we grieve for ourselves, because we know that our own lives will never be the same without him. We all have many happy memories of Phil that we must hold dear in our hearts and cherish them as Phil cherished us here today. Phil was like a son to me. He was a spry young fellow when I first met him 16 years ago, when I first came into the rooms of recovery. All the people you meet leave an imprint on your life. Phil's imprint was enormous, just like the size of his heart. Phil, often described as an old soul, was a bright light, highly competitive, athletic, outgoing, and full of energy. Phil was a loyal friend. He was a well-mannered and exceptionally bright young man. Phil inspired me with his courage, his dedication, his grace, and his gift of love for his mom and his family. Phil was a humble man, yet he carried a ferocious message of recovery. Phil never gave up on anyone. There are many people in this room that can attest to this fact. Phil would be the first one to say that we're all family and must support one another. I know in my heart that Phil is smiling down on us, knowing that I have given my word that we are going to take care of his mother. Phil was a living amend. He worked diligently on trying to better his recovery life. His tireless dedication and service has guided many people into the rooms of recovery. Phil had an amazing gift and a vision. He channeled his light and goodness into the creation of the TWC Changes program. With the help of a hand-picked team, Phil created a safe, caring, and compassionate environment for vulnerable men to find treatment and recovery. Many of these miracles are here today. Phil has mentored them well, and I am confident they will continue to carry the message and keep Phil's legacy alive. Tonight, in honor of Phil and his everlasting legacy, I'd like to unveil the plaque that will soon be mounted in the TWC Changes Treatment Home. It reads as follows: Beloved son of Andrea Gallant, a treasured employee of Together We Can, and an integral member of the Changes program. Phil blessed us all with his compassion, empathy, care, love, and understanding, which showed in his work with each newcomer that joined the Changes House. Phil believed that everyone was capable and deserving of recovery and empowered me to take those first few steps on their new recovery journey. He is missed by many, but never forgotten. We all want Phil to live again. It is your individual vision and the recounting of his legacy that will bring Phil back to life. Speak of him often, for stories and memories are truly an afterlife. Phil's legacy is worthwhile, and his life is honored, when recounted time after time. Adore the memory you have of Phil, for like a precious flower, he bloomed only for a short time to give the world a little bit of happiness. Someday we will be together again when we cross over to the other side. This is only a brief parting in the larger scheme of life. While we, here on earth, have lost our light, heaven has gained an angel, a bright and shining star to light our way. And the memory of our angel will live in our hearts forever. In celebration of Phil's spirit, I'd like to share the following poem. Feel no guilt in laughter. he'd know how much you care. Feel no sorrow in a smile that he was not here to share. You cannot grieve forever. He would not want you to. He'd hope that you would carry on the way you always do. So talk about the good times and the way you showed you cared, the days you spent together and all the happiness you shared. Let memories surround you. A word someone may say will suddenly recapture a time, an hour, a day. That brings him back as clearly as though he was here and fills you with the feeling that he is always near. For if you keep these moments, you will never be apart, and he will live forever, locked safely in your heart. Thank you for the opportunity to share these thoughts and memories with you. Rest in power, Phil. I'd like to invite Shirley to come up.
Thank you, everyone. As you can see, I brought reinforcements. My niece, Megan, and my nephew, Riley, our brother, Jerry's children are also going to share some memories of Phil. So to the organizers of this gathering, we'd like to thank you for including us in the messages given tonight. An unimaginable tragedy has occurred and changed our family forever. We could never have imagined our Phil would lay down the cares of an earthly life in such a sudden and shocking way. He has now left us where we cannot follow him, where we can no longer see his sweet smile, hear his gentle voice, or feel his comforting hug. So we now come together still in the fog of a fresh and raw grief to try to honor him and to comfort each other. Thank you. He will be missed by all, but mostly by his loving mother, Andrea, who has said she knows that this means that she will now miss him every single day for the rest of her life. This is the kind of grief that changes everything. It changes so much. People often describe it as a roller coaster or a tidal wave, a series of tidal waves. One of the things it disrupts is our sense of time. What we will try to capture the memories from the past and hold on to them as anchors in our swirling present. We move through the present as if in a dream, here but not here. It all seems one-dimensional and feels so unreal. The future, once promised and assured, has slipped away, leaving us to pick up the pieces as best we can. Our new task is to find somehow meaning in life and to go on. And as Stacy mentioned so eloquently, Phil would be the first one who wants us to do that. For those closest to Phil, Andrea and his brother Andrew, this will be the hardest thing. Where there was always 3, now there are 2. Our family will now set one less place when we gather for every family dinner and celebration. We'll never forget him, and we can never replace him. Phil was so many things to so many people, but mostly a loving and loved son, brother, grandchild, nephew, and cousin. From a little boy to a young man, we knew him as a sweet child, a good student. He was an open learner, a natural athlete and teammate, a hard worker who always strove for being responsible and caring. He rode the ups and downs of life with so much grace and perseverance. He was such an anchor and a compass at the same time. As a person who always wanted the best for others, he had the gift of friendships in his life. He was both a good friend to others and had good friends. My own earliest memory of him was as a newborn when his mom, Andrea, placed him in my arms for the first time. And that was the first time I think I knew. Oh, sorry, Phil was an old soul right from the moment of his birth. Many of our family memories will be of gatherings. Phil, along with his brother Andrew and his cousins, there was 5 of them, 4 all so close in years. They were all so cute together, and his older cousin Kelsey tried to keep them in line for us, sometimes with success, sometimes not. But there were so many memories of Christmas parties, Christmas dinners, a living room filled with Christmas wrap all over as the kids just tore into their presents. There were birthdays, summer barbecues. We just have so many good memories of him, and they will be a comfort to us. And now his 2 bookend cousins, the 2 cousins before him and after him, Megan and Riley, are also going to share some of their memories of Phil. Megan, go first.
Hi everyone, thank you all for coming today. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Megan, and Teresa, I'm Phil's cousin. Phil and I were only a couple of months apart, and so we went through a lot of life's big milestones at the same time. The bulk of my memories of Phil are from family Christmas dinners and birthday parties, when we played hide and go seek in the dark, impatiently waiting for cake and to unwrap presents and probably driving our family crazy. We both started playing soccer from a young age and became a passion that we both shared growing up. Phil played soccer for a few years with my now boyfriend, Michael, and this mutual connection was actually the icebreaker in our first conversation. Phil was playing matchmaker and he didn't even know it. Phil and I went to different schools growing up, but our paths crossed on our high school graduation day, when we both ended up at Queen Elizabeth Park for pictures with our classmates. It was a special moment to get to share that big day with my cousin. And the hardest part of losing him is knowing that I won't get to share any more life milestones with him. Phil, the past 2 weeks have been incredibly hard for all of us without you. I find myself turning a lot to your Facebook page and reading through all the posts from your friends, coworkers, teammates, and other family members. It has made me so incredibly proud to have called you my cousin, and it is truly amazing to see how many lives you have touched and helped change for the better. Your kindness, generosity, compassion have impacted everyone around you, and this impact will live on even though you are gone. I love you, Phil, and we will all miss you.
I'm bringing a perspective that is pretty uniquely mine, that of a little cousin. So I just wanted to share a few words about Phil. Um, growing up, there, there were fewer things that made me more excited than hearing that my cool big cousins Phil and Andrew were coming to the family get together. It was from them that I would learn many of life's great secrets, like the truth about Santa Claus, or certain words that would be frankly inappropriate to repeat at times like these. Um, but what else are big cousins for? And I'm not sure that I'd have it any other way. Looking back, it's obvious to me that your life was more complex than I had known. What life didn't offer you, you made up for in kindness and, frankly, a real great sense of humor. Phil, just so you know, a young Riley had no choice but to unconditionally look up to you. Later in life, although we went down separate paths, I couldn't help but to feel inexplicably connected to you. Perhaps from my early memories together, perhaps from something more. For that, I'm not quite sure, but for some reason, during our last time we spent together laughing and joking about your life as a born-again baller, I could feel myself as that same young boy looking up to his cool big cousin once again. Phil, I will always admire you. I will admire the man that you chose to become by giving back to your community and to your loving mother. Phil, I am proud of you. And while fate dealt our family and everyone here a lonely blow the day that we lost you, who you were as a son, a friend, a support beam, and even a cool big cousin is not lost to anybody here today. Thank you.
And so we gather here to honor Phil's life and to support each other, especially those who were closest to him. To lose someone who gave so much to so many and had so much more to do and to give in life makes it almost impossible to understand the whys of the senseless tragedy. Why are the fates so capricious, so merciless? As mere mortals, we can never understand. And so we cannot make sense of this loss. I don't know how I will ever make sense of it, but I do know that I can make sense of his life, and I will hold on to that. The many heartfelt lessons behind all of Phil's actions, and we can comfort ourselves by trying to make sense of who he was. We can see that he was a person who made choices. No matter what his circumstances, he always chose to be a contributor. His values were the basis for those decisions. He always chose honesty, fairness, truth, forgiveness, understanding, acceptance, humility, kindness. And he had no place for anger, blame, pride, arrogance, judgment, or disrespect. If he had a motto, it would probably be, lift up your fellow man, do not put them down. If we want to really honor him, I think we can all remember these choices and, as Stacy alluded to, try to be as close to them as possible in our own lives. He would like that a lot, I think, that if we would practice it, we would really keep his memory alive within our hearts. To all of us, I wish you all comfort, strength, and peace in the measure you most need at any given moment. I know he would be the first one to want us all to be okay. To Phil's old soul, I say, Phil, go in peace, go in power, go in grace. And now lastly, the thank yous. It is a great source of comfort to all of us to have had so much care and compassion shown by so many, from our extended family, many of whom will be watching from across Canada, to the old friends and newer friends, Phil's teammates over many years, and of course the family of TWC, especially the leadership team, including Stacy and the entire board of directors. Your kindness, the depth of the kindness and compassion in the recovery community is really astounding and a thing of beauty. We are especially thankful that we know that his last moments on earth was doing something he loved so much and he was so good at. And he was doing it with people he loved and who cared for him, who rushed to his side, stayed with him, and tried to help him and comfort him. We know it must have been very traumatic for all of those other young men, but they stayed focused and they tried to render assistance. Andrea did not want us to list off everyone who has offered their support and kindness because she, in her typical Andrea fashion, was afraid we might accidentally omit somebody and cause hurt. So we'll just leave it at that. Thank you so much. We hope you know who you are, because we know who you are and what you've done for us. Thank you. And now I'd like to ask Caleb to come up next.
Hurts, right? Thank you for sharing this time with me, everybody. Thank you, Andrea, for raising such a phenomenal man. My name is Caleb Shearer, and I am a group facilitator and a coach at the Changes program with TWC that Stacy spoke of. And I've had the pleasure of working with Phil for for over a year now. And for those of you who know him and who know this work, we go into really dark places with people, and we're not spectators in it. We're connected to people, and we have a duty to show them that there's a better way of life. And the people that we deal with, just like I was myself, are very, very lost a lot of the time. And I've never met anybody who had the capacity to create safety for people who are lost like Phil did. And to be able to work with him in the capacity that I did has been such an honor and such an eye-opening experience. Somebody can go through the things that man has been through and come out on the other side with such courage and such integrity, holding such a light for people to follow. And every day I can get up at this program that I work at and I can talk about integrity, and I can talk about recovery, and I can talk about all of the things that Stacy's shown us, that Mark has shown us, that all of the people before us have shown us. And I could stand there and I could point at Phil as an example, an unfailing example of somebody who was their word. It's such a loss that at 28 years old that we don't have his example anymore. It's my hope that with the team that Stacy helped us build, that Phil built, at Changes, that we can continue his legacy. We do really, really, really important work, guys. All of you are such an example. I see you following in his footsteps, and I hope we can do that day in and day out. This pain that's I know that the pain that I feel, I don't know if you guys can feel it right now, but right here, it's a reminder of the love that I have for him and that space that's gone. He left this in so many people's lives, hundreds, and the lives that they're going to touch because of it. So many people in this room right now, myself included. I don't want to say it over and over, but I'm just so honored to have him. I've had him in my life and had 28-year-old. He's like my second dad. Like I'm trying to follow this guy's example day in and day out, and it's not easy. Thank you for being here with me. Dima, would you like to come up and share?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dima. This is a tough one for me. Thank you, Andrew, for bringing such a wonderful person to this world. I'm uh, I'm one of those hundreds friends, um, teammates, and family members that Phil has touched. Knowing Phil, he'd probably say, "Don't be upset, don't be sad, keep pushing through. Remember all the good things that we shared together. Remember all the good talks that we had." I found myself wanting to write every morning, as we always did, and check in with each other. So we'll continue to write to your mother, Phil. I've had the honor and privilege to get to know Phil for about 9 months. I began my volunteering to the Changes program with Phil, and right from the very start, as many of the people that spoke before me, Phil created such a safe and calm environment. Um, you know, he showed compassion, he showed dedication, he showed persistence, he showed strength and empathy. Um, you know, he has taught me a lot for these 9 months. It feels like I'm only for a very long time. He was not only one of my closest friends, but he was a companion and someone that I looked up to well beyond his years. And he was like a big brother and a father figure. You know, I learned a lot from Phil over the conversations about family, and he taught me how to be, a loving part of a family, how to love. I've seen what a strong friendship we had with Andrew, and I will continue to take that as I go on and continue to, embody those ways with my family. He taught me sportsmanship. He brought back my passion for soccer. We played together at Rec Recovery Soccer. And he taught me that it's not about winning, it's about having fun. As it was mentioned before, I've seen Phil help many, many people that have gone through the Changes program. When I think of Phil, service comes to mind. And selfless, very loving person. I'll finish up with a little quote that I'd like to say. Those who leave us don't ever go away. They walk beside us every day. Unseen, unheard, but always near. So missed, so loved, so very dear. Rest in power, my dear friend. I'll see you soon. I'd like to introduce Amrit.
Hey everybody, my name's Amrit. I had the pleasure of knowing Phil. I'm gonna try and keep this short and sweet. Still don't know how to truly feel about this, but I'll talk a bit about how much Phil has impacted my life in the last year and a half that I knew him. He was a teammate, a supporter, a co-worker, one of my best friends, and most importantly, a role model to me. I was at a point in my life where I was very fragile, and I was in the process of kind of mending it all back together, and that's where I got introduced to Phil. He showed me how to be compassionate, how to be loving, how to be caring. I saw firsthand how he would deal with individuals that were at their bottom, and it inspired me. Um, he made me look at life in a different way. I never I never had somebody that I looked up to growing up, but even though he was younger than me, it's mentioned before, he was like an old soul. It was someone that I truly looked up to. Um, every morning, I pray for patience, tolerance, love, and understanding, and that's basically what Phil encompassed, like as a whole. Like he was compassionate, he was loving, he was caring, he was so understanding. I think the best thing I can do moving forward is just to practice those principles, like with the people that I meet in the future, um, and more so than just my work relationship with him. Uh, we shared soccer together. I've played soccer for many, many years, and Phil loves soccer. And aside from that as well, it's not often you meet somebody who's athletic and also nerdy. So we shared watching movies together, talking about superheroes, The Office. So it was a very, very special friendship that I'm gonna miss very dearly. Um, Andrea, you know I love you and Phil very, very much. Phil, I hope I get to play with you up there in heaven one day soon. I wasn't there on the night, unfortunately, when you passed. I think back, he always told me to go to practice, but I always thought I was too good to go to practices and would just show up to games. So this is the one and only time I'll admit this, that Phil definitely was better than me at soccer. Thank you guys.
Wonderful. I want to thank all of those who shared with us tonight. We are going to open the floor. We have time for a few people to come up and share any thoughts. So if there's anybody that's in the room tonight that would like to come up and speak, now's your opportunity. Sounds good.
I'm not very good at this. Start with Stacy, you're much better. But this is. I really wish it was a different situation that we were doing this. That's for sure. Andrea is my best friend. I met Andrea when I was in recovery. We both cleaned up together, and I remember when Andrea got her kids back. How how grateful she was. And I grew up since then with Andrea, knowing her kids. I coached their baseball team. We weren't very good, but, it was grateful for me to have that opportunity. And I had the opportunity with Phil, especially coming back from Saskatchewan. Um, sitting in the boat, and him and I would go fishing. And I remember the first time he caught a fish, we lost it. We lost it right at the boat. But ever since that, he was hooked. He wanted to catch a fish, but we would have some really, really good talks in the boat. And um, the insight that he had and the ideas that he had just blew me away. He's a good kid. I also took him fishing because, I had a electric motor, and when it ran out of battery, I needed somebody to paddle me back. So Bill was really good at that. But I always bugged him about that. But we also took him camping because he was really good at cutting wood. So, but we had some really good times together. And Andrea, I love you to death. I'll always be with you. I'll always be by your side. You're awesome. So thank you guys.
we do have time for a few people. Which, oh, there we go. We got a volunteer.
My name is Chris, and I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. Phil Friesen was one of the finest people I ever had the honor to have an opportunity to meet. He met me at a time in my life when things weren't going too well, and literally at the bottom of the barrel. Phil gave me the shirt off his back. He literally gave me the shirt off his back. This man had a heart like unbelievable. I speak on behalf of all the people who presently are clients, like myself, and all the people who have been clients. This man was a giant. He's a memory, and he's just extraordinary. And I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud to be part of this project. And one thing he would always say is, something? I need some try acting like a man.
Do we have anybody else who would like to come up and share?
Big crowd. Hi guys, my name is Tyler. I'm a grateful and recovering addict from Halifax, Nova Scotia. I've been to a couple of different houses within TWC, and I came to changes from solid ground. And when I was at solid ground and I was making my move to changes, I spoke with must have been about a dozen people, maybe a dozen and a half people about changes, about how great of a house it was, how much integrity was there, how much compassion was there, and how much I'd like it there. The first name that always came up was Phil. He was just sort of this elusive character to me. He was somebody I was so curious to meet, and so eager to meet. And I arrived at changes 3.5 days before his passing, and just the welcoming that I had there, just from everybody, but especially Phil. He stuck around with me while I was there for the first couple of days. He asked me questions about my experience. I asked him questions about his experience, and he was such an easy person to talk to. It was just like an enigma. He was so well rounded, and I've heard so many great people tonight speak so many great things about him. And although I only knew him for a short time, I was speaking with a friend about the fact that I wish that I'd had more time to speak with him and to know him and to have fun with him. But the friend I was speaking to responded simply by saying that it was a blessing to have known him, and it was such a gift to have gotten there in the time that I did, to get to speak with him, to get to have some fun with him, and to get to know him. And Andrea, I'm so sorry for your loss. You've been so strong throughout this. I've seen you just taking everything, and it's incredible. It's beyond words. So yeah, I really appreciate everybody's words here, and I hope that Phil rests easy, and I think we all know he'll be sorely missed. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name's Kieran. Well, looking at these pictures, back then, definitely Phil was somebody I would have partied with. Right. Life is very interesting. I didn't share that part of my life with Phil. I got to share my recovery with him.
talking to Andrew before this.
I told her, you know, you really don't recognize Phil with all the hair he has in all these pictures, right? But, you know, I had a history. I had a reputation that followed me. And I came to changes, and Phil pretty much gave me a shot. But all that died and just saw me for who I was in that moment, right? It's been something that I've seen him do repeatedly over and over again with people. I don't know, someone had said, is growing up, you know, in school, you'd always be asked like who your role model is, and I would always give some stupid answer of a celebrity or a hockey player, never someone actually sufficient, right? And I was thinking, and you know, I do have a role model today, and that is Phil. You know, he's provided me a blueprint of how to live, of how to be a man, and I know that if I can live up to just half the standards that Phil was, you know, I'm going to be all right. And, you know, he didn't leave big shoes to fill, he left big shoes to follow. And that's how I'm going to honor him. I'm going to follow in his footsteps. So thank you for letting me speak. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, everybody. I'm going to invite Carol Ann up to speak for us now.
Hi, everybody. We really wanted to thank you all for coming and sharing this celebration of life with us tonight. Phil meant so much to so many people, and it's just a huge loss without him here. When I think of Phil, I think for 28 years, the impact that he had on so many people. Andrea and I have been spending a lot of time together since his death, and the phone calls she gets from people that went to school with him when he was a kid, parents of those kids. Like, he had an impact on everybody. Like, it's just amazing. Since he's been at Together We Can, I've been working at Together We Can for 15 years. And when he came to Together We Can, you know, he is just so amazing. Like, everybody just loved him. I've never heard one bad thing about him. On the weekend, a lot of the guys from Changes would come over to the center to my classes, and oh my God, the way they raved about Phil was just unbelievable. He's had such an impact on so many people. I used to phone him on a fairly regular basis and tell him how wonderful he was. And, you know, he's so modest. He'd be like, oh, I'm not that great. And I'd say, well, no, you really are, because everybody just loves you, you know? He had such an impact on everybody. One of the things I was thinking of shortly after he passed was one of our clients came to me and he said, you know, usually when I lose a friend, it makes me want to relapse. I want to go out and use because I can't handle it. But I'm not going to do it this time, because I'm going to follow in Phil's footsteps and I'm going to stay clean and sober, because I know that's what Phil would want. And to me, that's the most important lesson here. You know, Phil wants us all to continue on with our lives and be the best that we can be. Andrea had asked me to say something about, I can't even see her here, but Andrea had said that one thing she wants me to tell you all is that she is so proud to be Phil's mother. She's so proud of him. She's so proud of, you know, the life that he built. When she talks about him now, she says she's going to start to say, my sun shine. Because that's really what Phil was. He was a ray of sunshine, like, and he still is. I mean, he's still shining that light down on us. And we just have to carry on with his legacy. But Andrea is just about the strongest woman I've ever met in my life. We often talk about, how could you survive losing a child, and she has been so amazingly strong. She works her program, she does what she needs to do. Another great role model. I mean, Phil is like a carbon copy of her. He learned from her because she is amazing and she has, set the bar so high for all of us. And I'm so proud to call her a close friend of mine. And, we have lots of fun together. We travel, we do lots of fun stuff, and we work together. And Andrea, I'm so happy to have you in my life. And, we'll all keep working with you. And, you can tell that Andrea has reached out and helped so many other people because look at all the people that are supporting her. It's just been unbelievable, the support that she has received. So I really, from the bottom of my heart, would like to thank you all, and let's all keep working together and helping each other. At TWC, we always say, once you're part of our team, you're part of our family, and we have an amazing family at Together We Can, and I'm so grateful to be part of it. So thank you.
I'd like to give a special thank you to Karen as well, who's been very helpful whole process and stood by Andrea's side the entire time. So thank you so much for everything you do at Together We Can as well. We're now going to be closing the live stream before we have the performances start due to copyright issues usually. So I'd like to thank everybody who's joined us online from across the country. We've been reading your comments and we'll be sure to pass along your messages to Andrea. Now what I would like to do is invite Pat Momoka to the stage, who's going to start off with